Today we'll be going over the 7 personality traits that lead to failure. If you're able to recognize these personality traits within your life, you will be able to use them as negative feedback so as to attain a goal or personality which you would like to attain. Just as a torpedo uses miscalculated positions as data in order to recalculate towards its target, you will be able to do the same thing. So, these personality traits actually stem from an acronym of failure. Now, the first trait, frustration. When we were little kids and infants, and things didn't go our way, and our mom wasn't giving us enough Cheerios or whatever it might have been, we would have a feeling of frustration. And that would be through crying, through yelling, start throwing things, and just feel frustrated as infants. And in hand, we would get that warm, loving, tender hand right to our needs, giving us exactly what we needed, giving us what was on our minds, because we reacted through frustration. In the adult life, you cannot just feel frustrated and expect life to deliver what you expect of it. So feeling frustrated and futile and hopeless isn't going to get you anywhere, because we're not infants. Now, the second personality trait that you want to avoid is aggressiveness. So, aggressiveness isn't such an abnormal trait as psychiatrists once believed. In fact, aggression towards a goal tends to be a positive trait that helps us get things done. Now, the failure personality type will not direct their aggression towards a worthwhile goal, and that will end in a multitude of pains. This personality trait is the type to, once they feel some defeat and they're butting their head against the wall, they think that by butting their head harder against the wall and being more aggressive, they will be able to get somewhere, and this is not the case. Controlling your aggression and directing it towards some type of goal or work or a different activity is actually as important, if not more important, than the emotions of love and so on. So when you have this aggression and you have no outlet for it, that is when you get people going crazy in traffic, and the husband who bashes out against his wife after something went wrong at work. So this is definitely something you want to avoid. Is if you feel aggression, make sure you find an outlet. Things such as exercise or working towards something which matters to you is a perfect outlet for this. And you don't want to be that person that ruins everybody's mood. For this third one, we have insecurity. Insecurity is a feeling of inadequacy with the inner self. We measure ourselves and we're not meeting a certain par or a certain statistic, we will begin to feel insecure. And so in today's world, it's super easy to feel insecure because we're constantly looking at social media and looking at the next person and striving for perfection. When you're constantly envisioning yourself as an ideal and perfect self, you're thinking of yourself as an absolute and as a complete person. And the truth is, there's a lot of progress to be made for everyone, and pretty much no one is perfect. So by thinking in an absolute manner, you're pretty much evoking insecurity, because you will never be able to measure up to the perfect ideal self. So think of it this way. A man who is poised and riding his bicycle is always looking forward, always chasing after the goal, which is, continuing in a specific direction. So when you have someone who thinks they have it all and thinks that they are that perfect state and that perfect person, they don't have a direction to go towards. So when they're riding their bicycle of success, they become stagnant and static. And since they think they have it all, they lose the movement of pedaling and they become flimsy and eventually fall. So thinking of yourself as a perfect person isn't going to help you in the long term, because you should always be progressing towards something. If not, you will stumble and fall, and you'll be in a position of defense to why you are the perfect person. And this eventually just leads to insecurity. When a champion thinks of themselves as the best, they no longer have something to attack and attain. but instead something to just plainly defend. Underdogs have something to chase after. They want it badly than the rest. This is what is known as the underdog psychology. There was a popular boxer who won every single fight leading up to the championship belt. Once he had that, his next fight, he immediately lost his belt and looked bad doing so. After losing the championship belt, his manager told him, when you step in that ring, you don't have anything. You haven't attained anything. You've laid your belt quite literally on the line, and now you have to fight for it. So as soon as this boxer put himself into that mentality of always having a goal in mind, he immediately won his next fight. So being insecure always stems from not having a specific goal that you're trying to achieve. It always comes from a defenseful position where you're falsely covering for your reality. The next character trait that you want to avoid is loneliness. Now, there are a lot of people out there that think they will attract the best friends ever. They will attract the girlfriend of their dreams. They will attract the perfect circle of their lives. And this is quite literally not the truth. It never occurs to these types of people that maybe they should be the ones contributing. Once you begin the journey of being an active contributor in social circles, they will begin to accept you. And in that, you will lose yourself and then find yourself by being natural through that acceptance. And once you have brought social value, you will be able to accept yourself as a person much more. And therefore, that loneliness when you're by yourself will fade. The next personality trait is uncertainty. Now, there are two different types of people when it comes to uncertainty. Number one, the one who never makes a decision, always ends up looking at all the options and doesn't do anything about it. And number two, the scapegoat, the one who finds something to blame. He takes decisions way too fast and finds himself in hot water shortly after. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. A professional batter doesn't have the perfect record of hitting every time. A lot of people are afraid to make these mistakes and afraid to do something which could be looked at as wrong. And the truth is, we find a lot of what to do by finding out what not to do. Don't be uncertain in who you are as a person, and don't try to blame somebody else to cover up your wrongs. Make your decision and make it certain, and admit when you're wrong. Mr. Edison was successful in a lot of inventions by using a process of elimination in order to eventually get the success which has outlived his name. Now, this next one is one of the biggest ones. Resentment. As long as you harbor resentment within your heart, it is quite literally impossible to envision yourself as self-reliant, independent, and the captain of your own soul. Let's say somebody does you wrong and does an injustice, does something which is unfair to you. If you are relying on other people's actions to be 100% all the time in order for you to be okay, you are quite literally a beggar. This means that for your own happiness, you're dependent on other people. Somebody can do you wrong, but holding that resentment is only hurting yourself. If you have the mentality that life owes you a living, you will have a feeling of resentment when those debts aren't paid. You're the one who sets your own goals. No one owes you anything. People who are resentful are only resentful because they've put too much dependency on the outer world instead of their own selves. Be self-reliant, independent, and don't allow the world to tell you how you should act or feel. Living in resentment will eventually lead to self-pity, which is one of the worst emotional states you could live in. Now, this last one is emptiness. This is a feeling that a lot of people get when they have lost the capacity to enjoy. Joy accompanies creative function. And by creative function, I mean the pursuit of goals which you have designed. It is possible to achieve a fake success, but this only leads to a empty joy within. Emptiness is a symptom of when you're not living creatively and for yourself. If you make your life a treadmill, to go to work for 8 hours a day, to be able to afford a house, to sleep 8 hours a day in order to go to work the next day, you officially achieved the symptom of emptiness. What's exciting about that? Why even do it? When you go after something that you truly want and aligns with the pillars you've built within your mind your whole life, emptiness will never be a feeling that you can relate to. The sad part about this one is that 99% of people are currently living with this personality trait. A lot of people die as soon as they get a job in their 20s, and they're only buried when they're in their 80s. This is because they go on to live empty, unfulfilled lives. If you want to avoid this, make sure that you find something that aligns with whatever the fuck you want to do. These 7 traits do spell out failure. A lot of people who are within these traits are quite literally functioning as a failure mechanism, and that is not the type of person you want to be. You don't want to be resentful, empty, or just a bad person in general. So I'll definitely recommend to do some reflection. Think about what type of person you are. We all fall into at least 1 or 2 of these, but now that you know what they are and how you can avoid them, take some time to reflect on areas that you could work within your life and your mind and become that version that you want to be. So yeah, that's it for this episode of Just a Kid Trying to Make It. If you're wondering where I got some of my knowledge from, I got it from this book called Psycho-Cybernetics. And this is a book that quite literally has changed my life. I would recommend reading this book, at least once a year, once every 2 years. It's something that you want to integrate into your palette of life. I know this episode was kind of different. If you guys like this type of video, I definitely enjoyed making it. It was different than most of my videos. Drop a comment down below if you want to see some more like philosophy knowledge bombs, and I'll continue to make them. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll catch y'all next week.